So after all that is said and done, I don't see any other positions getting addressed here. Again, maybe defensive end, maybe the Bills bring back Micah Hyde. But the one that I think is almost a glaring hole is boundary corner 4. And I know that might not seem that big, but what we saw last year in the playoffs where the Bills were down to Kaiir Elam and what was it, Jamarcus Ingram? Like, are we really comfortable rolling with that again? Maybe Dane Jackson played that game, but now Dane's in Carolina. Tre White signed with the Rams. And you could say, well, you replaced Tre White with Rasul Douglas. And that is true. But where we finished the season, Tre White was that corner 3, corner 4 on the depth chart. And then after him and Dane signed elsewhere, you're looking at Kaiir Elam and Jamarcus Ingram again. And the Bills didn't draft a boundary corner. They did get Daquan Hardy, but he's more of that nickel corner, and he's going to help with special teams. So I think this is one position where the Bills could take, let's just say, $3 to $5 million and sign that boundary corner, because I feel like you would want to get someone who can not only help from a roster standpoint, but I think you want to get someone who can help Kaiir Elam, because I think you want to get a running mate for him that is a little bit more experienced than Jamarcus Ingram, because Kaiir Elam has faced a lot of flack so far. He's been underwhelming, I guess. I'm still pretty high on him, but considering where the Bills drafted him, they traded up to get him, and now he's not even starting. And he's been circulating around in trade rumors. That's probably more of a social media trade rumor. Like, I don't think he's actually involved in those trade rumors. But the point is, Kaiir Elam has not necessarily lived up to that draft hype. And maybe you could say, well, it's a system that the Bills play or whatever. But I think if you get a proven veteran in here to not only help that depth, but he can push Kaiir Elam and he can be in his ear and be like, hey, kid, I'll take you under my wing. And I think someone who makes perfect sense for this is Patrick Peterson. Because Patrick Peterson, I don't know, because I don't know what he's asking for, but I can't see him asking for a lot at this point of his career. He's going to be 34 years old. He's definitely seen better days, but I think he still has a lot of juice in the tank. You know, he was a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro in Arizona all those years. Then he went to Minnesota and had 2 really solid years, especially in 2022. He started all 17 games, made 66 tackles, and he picked off 5 passes. And then he started 16 of the 17 games that he played in Pittsburgh last year, and 42 tackles, 2 interceptions. And again, is this guy going to be a top 10 corner in the league? No. But I think for what I said, he will not only provide that depth and competition, but he will also be that experience, that veteran leader that Kaiir Elam needs to take him to the next level. Walter says here, I don't agree that Elam isn't a starting caliber cornerback. Does anybody really think that? So, I mean, that is kind of polarizing, because I'm under the impression that Elam's not going to start, right? Unless there's an injury. You have Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford. But I think that he is corner 3 because they want to work with him, especially with the new corners coach here in Jamil Adai. And I think they're not going to give up on him yet. And I think he starts as corner 3. But if you get someone like Patrick Peterson, then if Peterson outperforms him, like, the Bills will not be scared to say, okay, Elam, you're back to corner 4 because Patrick Peterson's outperforming you. I think that the mindset here, the goal, the idea behind the Patrick Peterson idea is that he would start as corner 4 and try to push Kaiir Elam to continuing to grow and develop. But if he's not pushing him, and if Elam's not responding, then I think Peterson is still definitely a good enough player to take over as corner 3 and essentially demote Kaiir Elam. But I think that's what you want, because we might have made this point already, but if you sign someone like a Stephon Gilmore or an Xavier Howard, that would essentially block that growth and development from Elam. And I don't know if the Bills want to do that. I think that's the reason why they didn't draft a corner. You know, for as much as people are saying, oh, are they going to draft Cooper DeJean? I'm like, how can you draft a first-round corner? Because that means you're essentially giving up on Elam. So that's why I think we're going to see a mid to bottom tier addition here. But I think corner is definitely a position to look out for this weekend and beyond.